Fire away.
What do you expect from the offense this year, and what areas are you focusing? You feel maybe you need to improve upon?
Obviously, we want to improve in every area. I'm expecting, we got a lot of great players. We're excited about where we're at as the depth we've added, certainly starting up front, the depth we've added up front with the line, bringing in Isaac, and I say depth also just by, the age and maturity and experience we've got up front. So we've got a really, in my opinion, a solid veteran group up front, which will allow us to be good at, you do everything up front. So I think that's important. Obviously, we want to. We did some things. We had, 10 play drives were good. Third down was good. We got to score more points. Got to be better in the red zone. Some more explosive plays. And there's a lot of things to work on. But ultimately, we just have to find a way to win more games, and that starts up front for us. And we're excited about where we are with that.
I know it's a little early to tell or to evaluate, but where do you see Kenny at this point in year two?
I think Kenny's had a good spring. Obviously, every day is up and down, and you play quarterback, and then Coach Tomlin says it the best, right? It's football like not football. So, but I think he's improving. He's seeing things, playing fast, getting some timing with the guys that you need to do as you become the starter, which was last year he was learning, and we had obviously different situations. So I think Kenny's had a very good spring, and excited about where he is.
How much more is he ready to take on from last year as a rookie?
Well, I think Kenny's extremely intelligent. I think it's a lot of that always falls to to the quarterback, right? That's the easy way to look. And he was a rookie, and there's some things there. But how much more is the whole offense ready to take on? Like I mentioned, we're better up front. We're more experienced up front. 2 years ago we started a bunch of rookies, and so I think as an offense as a whole, you're going to see some a lot of things expanding because the ability and the knowledge and the experience they've all gained. But certainly Kenny fits into that.
Yesterday we talked to Najee. He said it took a while for you guys to establish an identity last year within the offense. How do you work on establishing that in a more rapid fashion, and what do you think this identity of the offense could be this year?
Well, I think our identity was pretty clear the last 9 games. We ran the ball really well. We were physical. You saw who we drafted, who we acquired. I don't think there's any question about what our identity is going to be. I think we want to run the football. We want to be physical. We want to be a good team that throws the ball down the field and take advantage of what the defense gives us. And so I think our identity has been well known and well stated where we're at.
Man, I know it's
as
probably.
As far as the red zone goes, you brought that up before.
Sure.
The last day of OTAs, Mitch made the comment that he thought some of the best periods that the offense has had this year where they won the most was the red zone. Was that your observation as well? And if so, where has it worked out?
Yeah, obviously commenting about that, but just I think we spent a lot of time on the red zone. Again, we're aware of what are those issues. We had some missed assignments. It doesn't matter why we aren't successful. Again, that's what we all want to talk about. But the bottom line is we have to be more productive down there. So as a staff, we spent a lot of time on what that was. We spent a lot of time in meetings and installation, and that's been a primary focus. So I think we're seeing growth and we're seeing improvement, but nothing out here, it's a bottom line business, and the bottom line's in the fall. But we're certainly working at it. It's an area of focus, and we're excited about where we are today.
Matt, down the field, or Matt, across the league, downfield passing was at a league low since I think 2006. As an offensive guy, is there a reason or a trend that you can point to why that might be the case?
Obviously, possession of the ball is a really big deal, and I think you look at the games last year, and you guys all study everything, I'm sure, but the games that we lost, we turned the football over. Right? I mean, almost all of them. We had multiple turnovers, and I'm only answering our point. There's a risk reward to those things. We've got to do it better. It's another area. Talk about red zone. Talk about big plays and getting our guys. There's no hiding behind or acting like that's not real. But they're also, you're asking a question about the league. People aren't doing it because they don't want to give them the ball. And obviously, there's a positive and negative to both, and we have to find that balance and get our guys in space to make plays, let them make plays, but also continue to be a physical football team.
Do you think that's an anomaly, or is that something that maybe course correct this year and we could see more of those?
I'd have no idea. Like I said, I'm only focused on us and what we got to be better at. So I don't have the answer.
You talk about the identity of running the ball. You got the second-year quarterback. A lot of people believe that's how games are won with quarterbacks. Is that a balance where you have to get Kenny more and more involved, even if though you want to run the ball?
Oh, I think we've got there's an identity that's coming from as an organizational plan, right? It's not like I'm coming in here deciding what it is. There's a plan from Mr. Rooney to Coach Tomlin, and so obviously when I say we're going to run the ball, it doesn't mean we're going to run it every play. And our quarterback, you win. Quarterback has to make plays. You're exactly right. In this league, the quarterbacks make the plays to win the games at those key moments, and we have great faith in Kenny, Mitch, and Mason to do that. But the prior question, as I answered it, was just saying, we do have an identity. We're going to be a physical team, and if you stop the run, then we obviously have to take advantage of that with play action passes, misdirection passes down the field, and that's when Kenny's got to make those throws at those times when he's called upon.
How much pressure do you feel? I mean, all the pieces seeming in place. Now to be able to put that together to make this offense, a top 10 offense.
I got a great job, and I can't imagine a job when you don't have pressure, right? It's easy to quote people talk about pressures or privilege, right? I'm excited. I would not want any other job, and obviously to have the great players we've got here, we're excited about what we've got and the development that we've made over the course of time with the guys we've had and then some new additions. So, there's pressure every day in life if you've got something worth doing. So I don't feel any more than I ever feel. I want to do the best job I can for us to win football games.
Is there an advantage to you to have the same?
Go ahead, you're up.
I said, was there an advantage to you to have the same quarterback 2 years in a row? I mean, you've had some turnover every year that you've been going into this. This feels like the first year you've had some real continuity from year to year.
It's a positive. Certainly, obviously, you're able to build and do some things when you kind of, we know what Kenny likes, what Kenny is, good at, what Kenny needs to build upon, strengths, weaknesses at every position. I think you look at the course of time where we've been through this process, and we've had a lot of younger players, and the quarterback is the most noticeable in the pivotal position. But we got a bunch of those at a lot of spots. So for sure, we're excited about where we are and the development we can make with the experience at a lot of spots.
Matt,
what kind of progression can we see from George this year? And what is Allen?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
What kind of progression can we see from George this year? And what is Allen added to receiving?
I'll go in reverse order. Allen, what a great guy, and it's a great leader. His experience, again, I continue to talk about it. I just think we're a more experienced unit on offense right now from pieces that we've had here that have developed, and bringing in Allen, bringing in Isaac, some guys who've played a lot of football. And Allen is such a leader as he's coming in and getting involved, and has great pride in his work, great pride in his group, great pride in the offense, and has been a real asset to us as far as what it takes to do it. And I think he's a really, really good football player, another guy you have to cover, and I think that's a real benefit for us. So I'm thrilled that he's here, and I think it adds another dynamic weapon for us. To your point about George, I mean, George is he played a lot last year as a rookie, made a lot of special plays, and we certainly expect and for him to continue to ascend and continue to make those plays. And obviously, as we all, I'm not going to ever put it on just Kenny or, as we all continue to grow as an offense and we continue to raise our floor, I think we can see more, different things from different guys. And there'd be no reason to think George won't really, flourish as we continue to do that.
Matt, does he need to be more of a complete receiver, or is he fine just being a guy running down the sideline?
No, obviously, the more you can do, the harder you are to cover. And again, it comes back to what you're good at, and that's picking. There's only so many plays. Talk about identity. There's only so many plays in a game, so you've got to find those plays, put him in those spots where he can make plays. And as he continues to do that, I think he'll continue to ascend and be an elite receiver, because we do believe talent-wise he has that capability.
Matt, if he's single covered outside, is he open or considered open?
I think that's a question for you guys to answer. But we feel very good if somebody covers him one-on-one. We feel good about the odds.
Kenny was two young guys that seem like potential mismatch options, getting Calvin Austin this year and then Darnell Washington. How much do you feel like you can use those guys to different in ways that maybe people that aren't their specific size at their positions would be used?
I think it's a matchup business, right? That's what the NFL is. Everybody's got great players, and it's a matchup game, and you try to find them each week. I think that's the part about the game that's fun and challenging, right? Each week's a little different. You don't run the same. You can't do exactly, because they might have a better player at that competitive spot. So you mentioned those two players, and Darnell obviously coming in this year is an exciting guy. Super excited he's here. Great kid, great dude, learning, working. You seen what he can do on tape, and he's a tremendous blocker, but he can make some plays. He can make some plays in the pass game as well, and I do think he creates some matchup issues. And that, again, how fast that comes goes back to, he's now year one learning, and we're going, and we're soaking him with a lot of different things here through this process to see what he's good at, what he's comfortable with, and to be honest, in his defense, we haven't put any pads on yet, and his strength, as you all know, is when the pads are on. So excited about what he can bring. Calvin, you were all there at camp last year. What Calvin brings to the table and his unique skill set is something that I am excited about, and I know our whole staff and organization is excited about. So he's done a great job through last year's camp before he got nicked up, and then again now. So that's been a real positive.
Kenny last year in the second half was cognizant about not making mistakes, and he very rarely did.
Can he still operate that way, or do you need him maybe to be a little more aggressive?
There's a balance. You know, obviously, I don't mean we can't. I think there's a balance for us, and we're going to continue to let that grow. But again, if you look at the stats and go through them, the games that we turned the football over, we didn't win. And that doesn't mean you can play afraid not to make a mistake, but you have to, you know, there's a line there. You can't just go out there and wing it around. And we have an organizational plan of what we're going to do and how we got a tremendous defense standing out there that's going to play really good. We're going to put our special teams in a good spot. All those things add up for us winning. Stats are great, and we've got to do our part, and we're going to be really, really good at doing that on offense. But ultimately, it's only about winning. So, to answer your question, yes, but we still got to take care of the football. You go ahead. You have one more.
I was just going to ask, how can Connor's versatility help your offense and scheme against opposing defenses?
Con, he's another guy that I'm really, really high on and done a great job through the spring and through, you know, obviously last year as a rookie, you saw him ascend early on, had some mistakes and things, and he kept going and made some huge plays for us. And he's continued that trend here through, through the spring. You know, Connor's a guy that I'm a big fan of. And to your point and your question, his versatility, what is he? That's the big question everybody asks. If somebody figures it out, let me know. But he's good at a lot of different things, which is a benefit for us. Back to the prior question about matchups, I think he fits that mold. Who are you putting on Connor? And then what can we do? And again, completely for our offense, being able to do different things based on what they give us, you know, with our same skill set. So Connor's a unique talent, and we're excited about him as well.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
And then the leadership part of it, how he interacts with the guys.
Yes, I mean from day one, he was always a guy first and foremost who has and does to this day set the example in terms of his work ethic and being a guy who's first in and last out. And he's got his office up there now where he spends extra time. He was in a closet. He went from a rookie who had his closet. Now he's over, has his little office there where he can do some extra film study. And he's taken the bull by the horns with that. And when you look out here out on the practice field, whether it's walkthrough reps and whether it's the actual competitive 7-on-7 group work or teamwork, you know, he's setting the example, but then also interacting with his teammates, giving them feedback, telling them what he's anticipating, what he's expecting, encouraging, correcting, all the things that you want a good quarterback as a leader to be able to do.
Where is that office? Is it up near the coaches?
Yeah, there's an office up there that, he had a computer set up for video that was in the team meeting room. And he would spend time as a rookie. I mean, early on, he went through and established a protocol of a rhythm of what to watch on the player day off, quote unquote, and then Wednesday, and just going through an extra research assignments and things to get ready for the upcoming game. And sometimes there would be other activities, player development that were going on in that same area. And so as we've kind of shifted a few things around, there's an extra office that's up there, up on the same floor as the coaches, where there's a couple computers set up there. I know Minka comes up there, and those are the two Jersey boys right in there, and have a chance to go ahead and do a little extra work. And that's great. That's what you want your leaders to do.
Is that something that he approached you? Did he approach you and say, hey, is there a spot that's quieter? Or did you guys say, you know what, we're going to clear out some space and give you guys
I think it was, when we saw his initiative and anything that we can do to help a young man take that next step and develop that level of mastery and expertise that we can facilitate and help, that is something that behooves us to do.
Mike, is there anything?
You enough out of the pocket?
Excuse me?
Is he giving you enough out of the pocket?
Yeah, you know what, that's interesting you bring that up. One of the things you're talking about, as far as extending plays and
no, as a pocket passer. I know he's doing a lot of extending plays.
I misunderstood you. Okay,
is he satisfying you as a coach?
Yeah, one of the things we've looked at is there's ability when it breaks down for quarterback to extend where they're going to get outside the pocket, which I misunderstood your question. The next component is when you're either climbing or down at a 45, left or right, where you're still within the pocket, but it's those subtle nuances, those resets, those ability to go ahead and buy some time. There's still enough time to see the progression and make the read, but it doesn't warrant you having to escape right or left. And that's something we looked at some people and took a look at ourselves first and foremost, and looked at some other teams and other offenses and worked some of the drills out here, and it's been pleasing to us to see the improvement he has made in those areas. And it's still early, it's spring, we're here in shorts and just helmets, but that's something that that's part of that next step that we're hoping to see him make in 2023.
Mike, does he or the offense need to make more explosive plays, and what can you do to kind of work on that, if anything?
I think any offense is going to be to our benefit to make those explosive plays. When you have a 12, 14 play drive, that's 12 or 14 opportunities for something bad to happen. If we can have a 4 or 5, 6 play drive, it's kind of common sense, but there's truth to that statement. And I think it's twofold. From a quarterback position, I think it's about the ball location, being able to, we put that ball out front where our receivers or backs can maximize the run after catch. I think schematically we've really done a good job taking a hard look at what are the things we can do to put guys in those situations where they're on the move catching passes as opposed to necessarily having their shoulders facing back towards the line of scrimmage. So a combination of those two things are I think, areas that will help our explosive plays run after catch.
Was that any more of a focus during the offseason?
Well, I think every offseason you want to take a look at where we stood, statistically, and where we were towards the top, how can we be even better, and where we were falling short, and in terms of some of the run after catch component or explosive plays, as you mentioned, if that's an area that needs to improve, we'd be foolish as coaches not to address that and focus on it.
Mike, a lot of times, a lot of coaches are saying you guys want to be a power team, running team. Do you anticipate teams possibly trying to take that away and say, there's a second-year quarterback that's thrown 7 touchdowns, let's try to make him beat us?
It's hard to say what the approaches are going to be. I think right now we're trying to establish a versatility and being able to do the things that you're going to love to do. We got a great back, a really strong offensive line, and be able to run the football is always good. It helps you close out games, win games, and all weather, so to speak. Certainly the play action pass component that can be a great asset, which can give, sorry about that, can give you some of that run after catch that we're looking for would be good. But I think at this point, you really want to identify what our strengths are, and then depending upon who we're playing, if they're a team that's going to be bad against the pass or be susceptible to some of that, if we can attack them in that way, that's going to be a focal point, as opposed to maybe another team is really strong against the pass, but they're going to give you those light boxes, and we've got to make sure we're doing all the things we can from a quarterback position, our ball handling, our fakes, snap points, the consistency of sameness and likeness in our runs and passes is what we're going to have to really focus on.
Is it fair to say that you guys didn't want him to lose the game for you last year? I mean, maybe not the last 2 minutes of the drive, but leading up to that, it looked like you were very careful of what you allowed him.
I don't know if I can make that assessment. I think we're always, every quarterback, that whole notion of, game manager, which you didn't say, but is maybe implied. You can't manage on third down. You can't manage in the red zone. You certainly can't manage in 2 minutes. And I think, there's always going to be guidelines or parameters, if you will, in terms of a game where, this is a really, really great offense. We're going to have to keep pace, so to speak, or maybe this is an offense which we know our defense is matching up well against, and maybe our emphasis is maybe more ball control oriented. All these things are discussions that, start with Coach Tomlin and the direction that he gives us offensively through Matt and moving forward. And so really hard to say it being something other than being dependent upon the opponent.
The expanded confidence all the quarterbacks would have in George from year 1 to year 2?
Yeah, I think you have someone that was as productive as George was, particularly on the deep balls, on those 50-50 balls. And through experience and through repetition, that's where trust and confidence is built. And he's shown that. And I think all the quarterbacks are excited to see him take that next step and be able to be someone that defenses have to account for. And if he gets to a point where they're going to commit 2 players to him, then that creates other opportunities for other players in the pass game or opens up running lanes. And so definitely something we're excited about.
To follow up on that, you have 4 guys with vastly different skill sets, it seems, or at least 4 different guys. Can you speak to the room about how Freiermuth is so much different than Connor? Connor's so much different than the other guy. They definitely are not 4 interchangeable guys.
Well, it's, the obvious things are the 2 guys that are 6'7", 6'8", so that's the first thing. So you offer some size and some length. Connor and Pat have shown the ability to get themselves out in space and create space and make really got good ball skills. So that shows up. And Rodney is really trying to find his way. He got a lot of athleticism, a little twitchy, but he got to find some consistency in the room and as well as special team. It gives us the ability to do different things because they're so different. So you're not pigeonholed doing one thing. You get Connor, he can line him up in the backfield. You've seen a little bit of that. You can line him up in the line. You get Pat, you can put him out in space, you can put him in line. Then you get Zach and Darnell man, we really get big up front. So, you know, you can, hey, they want to play us small ball, we can just go ahead and try to run it with Najee in the backfield. Play big ball, then you can spread them out, and then you can go and throw the ball. Get some different looks for the defense.
With Darnell and where he needs to grow as a player, do you see that more coming into the skill set of the position and stuff he wasn't asked to do as much in college, or is it more just the conditioning? I know Tomlin always talks about when rookies take that step, that physical shape you need to be.
Conditioning is always the #1 thing, and then it's knowledge based. The sooner they can learn it, there's just so many positional things that they got to get under their belt so they can play faster. He has the tools to be a really good player. You stay healthy, stay available. I think he can play a long time at this level.
He's got a pretty interesting story too. I mean, his journey to get here, he hasn't always had it easy. That's something you talk to him about. If you learn much about
he shared. We had a chance to visit in the pre-draft meeting, and he shared. And I was most impressed. Actually, a little warm behind the eyes that he didn't blame anyone for anything that he went through. He shouldered everything, and life has not dealt him a bad card hand. He's just living his life, loving his family, and really excited about being a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Fredo, tight ends usually don't hit their stride until they get to be like 27, 28 years old. You still, excited about what Pat could be?
Oh man, I'm giddy about the whole room. Because Zach is still transitioning. We got him. The Steelers drafted him before I got here, and see him go from quarterback to tight end to see how he's developed. Then Pat has really gotten his first offseason because he came in with the shoulder thing, and just to see his development from year 1 to year 2, going to year 3, and the camp he was having before he had the stress in his foot. With Connor, wow, what is he? Well, someone asked me, I said, he's a football player. He's a four-core guy on teams. He gives us some flexibility offensively. And then he can do some things in the backfield and protection-wise. So we're excited where those guys are. So it takes a little bit of pressure off Darnell because you got that room. So as he comes in, he gets a chance to slow and grow. And as he grows, I think he's going to be a real problem for people to handle.
Do you see your guys as being able to do more than the average running back in terms of moving around positionally and doing different things?
I love my room. I think they're all versatile. They're smart. There's some things that one guy does better than the other, and that's part of coaching, getting them in those situations. But I think they're all very functional in each facet of the game, and so from that standpoint, I'm very pleased with my room and what they can do.
Najee talked about being a queen on a chessboard as far as a lot of the better running backs do in the NFL. Is that something that you guys want to do more with him this year as far as expanding what he does in the offense?
I mean, I think, in his 2 years here, you've seen him do several different things, catching the ball, running the ball, and that, and we'll just continue to expand on that. And at the same time, feature the skill sets within the room that I currently have, what plays guys do well. So from that standpoint, we'll just continue on that trajectory.
Do you consider a fullback part of your room, and do you have somebody this year that you think could?
Yeah, Monty Potterbaum from Iowa. Monty's smart. He hadn't gotten a whole lot of reps out here, but he knows kind of his role and what the fullback role is. And when we ask him to get in there, he's all over it. He's smart. He knows his assignments. I'm really excited to get into camp where we got pads on and see what he can bring to the table. But he's a viable person for sure.
Does Connor fit in that role at all, or is he strictly outside?
Connor's just such a utility knife. You can do a lot of stuff with him. He can come in the backfield. He can play fullback. He can play H. He can be a running back. He can be a tight end. He can be an F. That's the beautiful thing about Connor. He's like a Swiss Army knife, and it's our job to put him in favorable situations where he can do his thing.
Somebody looks at your depth chart on paper. There's not a ton of experience behind Najee and Jalen and Anthony to an extent. Did last year finding Jalen the way you guys did show you that you can get the kind of those gems in here and polish them up and go about it that way?
I think so, but let's be honest. I don't think that happens a whole lot.
Right.
Like what I didn't know about Jalen was his ability as a pass protector, and from game 1 he was doing that at a very high level, and he's been that way the whole time. I think that's rare. You know what I mean? A lot of times guys take more development than that in that case. And so just to say that as a general, broad, sweeping statement is hard. I think he is an outlier. I think he's special in that regard. But it did definitely show you that there's diamonds in the rough like that, and we do a good job of trying to get those guys in here and seeing what they can bring to the table.
Was a guy like Graham able to show you in a 2 or 3 day rookie camp to get signed and get that extended?
He's explosive. You know what I mean? He's got quick start. He can get the speed quick. He's smart. He's got a skill set in terms as a receiver. He's got a lot to learn. Like, that guy gets better every single day because he's getting coached, with detail and those things. And so if we just continue to build on that, you might have something there. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited to get him to Latrobe.
So a lot of new faces for you. How's this process gone for you?
Each year there's usually a lot of new faces. And it is. It's gone well. It's it's obviously it's a learning process right now. We're installing. We got new guys in there. We're teaching the different techniques and the different schemes that we're doing right now. So it's been good. Guys have been into it. They've been doing really well. And the older guys, the vets, have been helping out a bunch. And they stay after practice. They stay out here for 30 minutes afterwards and teach the young guys. So it's been a good experience so far.
Do those new older guys like an Isaac come in and throw pitch ideas to you about stuff?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, a guy like that's played in going into year 9 now. I mean, he's played a lot of football, right? And coaches a lot of time learn things from studying football and studying guys, and obviously studying him and different things that he does and how he approaches the game and how he approaches it, not only from a schematically or from a technique standpoint, but how does he approach the game throughout the week? What's he do? How's he study film? Doing that stuff. He's teaching some of the young guys and us as a room, like how he approaches the game and what he does pre-practice, how to get ready for practice, all that type of stuff. So that's a lot of stuff that you don't really think about, but it's when you get vets like that in there, it's a good thing for the young guys.
Pat, how will you know, or how will Broderick let you know when he's ready to be the guy?
How will Broderick let me know? No, I mean, again, he's a young, talented player. When we feel he's ready and he's going to be ready, right now he's in a good competition right now, so he's obviously eventually he's going to be ready. Like I said, he's talented, he's young, he's athletic, he's got all the tools. The thing is, he wants to be great. So he stays with that, and he wants to be great, and he has that attitude to do that. And when the time's ready for him, he's going to be in there.
What's the biggest challenge for a guy like Broderick as a rookie, just coming in? What's the quickest way for him to get into that lineup?
Just keep his head down, keep working at it, keep studying film, keep watching guys like him that he wants to emulate, watching our guys, watching other guys that he's like, the body type wise, and just keep grinding day in and day out. It's anytime you have a rookie, the learning curve's big. It's the amount of the volume that we have, the volume of plays we have, the different techniques we have, the different calls. Obviously, the talent across from them, the speed of the game. There's a lot of factors in it, and you got to take it day by day. And that's what we try to do. We just try to get better. Just keep chopping wood every day. Just to get, just don't ever take a step back. Take a step forward every day. Just to get a little bit better each day.
For a guy who came out as a redshirt sophomore and I think he had less than 20 starts, are you a little bit more cautious with exposing him to something early, or does that not factor into your thought process?
All guys mature, differently and quicker than others, and that it's just, when we feel like he's able to get the job done and he's competing, and if he ends up winning the job, then if or when he wins the job, then we'll put him in there. But again, everybody matures at a different pace, so it's just how quickly is he going to gain the knowledge to do that. And like I said, the thing that's got him going is he's got a good group of guys, and Dan Moore and Chooks, and the guys are staying afterwards and helping him, and that's what good rooms do. Good rooms help each other. Regardless of, hey, I'm competing with this guy or not, good rooms and good lines help each other, because inevitably, whether he takes somebody's job or doesn't take somebody's job, our job as an offensive unit is to get better and play the best 5 we can. Last year we were fortunate, obviously, to have all 5 starters stay in there for the most part, which is great. That rarely happens. So we know we're going to have whoever number 6 is, number 7, number 8, they're going to be playing a lot of ball for us in typical years. So just those guys that are staying and helping each other and doing that, the vets that do that, that shows you what kind of true pros they are.
If or when Broderick does claim that left tackle spot, what will be the ripple effect for the rest of the offensive line, specifically at right tackle? How do you imagine that shaking out?
I would just deal with it as that happens. If it happens or when it happens, whether it be due to injury or if somebody beat somebody out, that's always that's always the case. Like when you got somebody, whether it's, like I said, if it's an injury, it is what it is. If it's somebody that's playing better than somebody and we move them in, we're going to put the 5 best combination that we can up front, to give us the best chance to win. I mean, that's our job too, to find out what is the best combination that we have, and who are the best backups, who are active on game day. So in case something goes down, who's the next center going in? Who's the next, who's the next right guard? Who's the next left guard? Who's his backup swing tackle? So I think that's the case anytime that you have something where you put out a starting five and then somebody moves into that starting lineup, whether it be due to injury or competition.
Who is that backup at center?
I'm sorry.
Who is your?
We have a bunch of guys right now that are KG's in there. KG's backing up center right now. Obviously James can play center. Nate's in there working reps. We have a bunch of guys that are able to do that, which is fortunate. Sometimes you're like, man, a backup, like who's a third? We have 4 or 5 different guys that we have combinations with that can play that position. So we're fortunate in that respect that we have guys that have played that spot before and that can handle it mentally too.
You mentioned Kendrick there. Last year around this time, he talked about how he wasn't real comfortable at center as a rookie. He didn't like playing center as a rookie. Has that changed for him?
You'd have to ask him. I mean, I see
you guys have a talk
I see the
about
improvement.
that?
Oh yeah, I see the improvement. Year one he was he was a rookie. Thrown right in there and had to kind of learn it and lead it and do that. And, for a rookie coming in that didn't feel comfortable, you can go back and watch the film and say he did some good things too. He did a lot of good things for him to learn from. So, last year we had him in there and he was, competing for a starting guard position, throughout the fall camp. And, he ended up, not winning that job. But I can see the improvement daily on Kendrick. And he's another guy that's we got good people here, and we got guys that want to compete and want to win, and he's always asking questions. Hey, what about this? How do I do this? I see him talking to Mason all the time, asking to other guys like, how would you approach this block? Why? He plays. He hits this block differently than somebody else. You got to know who you're playing against and all that. So, again, stuff like that, I think for a young man like him is invaluable to have somebody like Mason that's helping him grow in terms of becoming a player too.
I know on the other side of the field, you guys drafted 2 big, tall DBs.
Yeah.
As a receivers coach, have you noticed a trend of these corners getting bigger to kind of combat some of these bigger receivers?
Yeah, I mean, the trend was, the big wideouts was the huge trend to overcome these small DBs, and now the big corners are in, and that's the new thing. And so, I tell my guys, these guys got long arms. You got to get yourself ready for a fight, and that's becoming the thing in the league. You look around the league, and everybody's got a 6'2", 6'3" corner. And so, it's going to be great to go against these 2 guys here in training camp and during the season because they'll give us that iron-on-iron work that we need.
How do you correct with that? Do you then get smaller receivers?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta figure out what their strengths. If it's a big guy that's strong and powerful and wants to fight, you got to use your quickness. If it's a big guy that maybe has some quickness to him, you got to outpower him. So just because a guy is big doesn't necessarily mean he's strong. So hopefully we'll be able to see that that type of development happen during the course of the training camp and during the season.
How did you see Deontay handle not getting in the end zone last year?
Yeah, you know what? Quite honestly, we've had this conversation. I just told him, man, we're looking forward to the future. We're not even looking back. I told him too many people spend time looking backwards. It slows them down. Looking ahead, it stresses you out. Just stay right here in the moment, and that's all we've been focusing on is the moment. When the season was over with, we did a self-autopsy, what we could have done better. And we just got to put them words to action. That's all we're focusing on. So he's not even looking back on it. I'm not thinking about it. We just worrying about right now and what's going to help us win games in 2023.
Because he's been a touchdown guy in the past. I mean, he had 8 2 years ago, so I don't think he doesn't score touchdowns.
Yeah, obviously he scored touchdowns in his career, but like I said, we aren't even talking about it anymore. We talked about it when the season was over with. It's over with. We're in 2023. That's all we worried about.
George, the type of guy that your job, your profession, that you have a skill set there, a size you can't teach, that type of stuff. Is it gratifying for you to kind of mold that and be able to work with him?
Oh yeah, it's always fun when you got a guy with his skill set, this natural ability, the body control, the speed, the hands, and it's my job to be able to correct and detail some of those little smaller things that the average fan may not see, the route running, being able to sink his hips. Those things I'm responsible for, him being able to line up and be in the right spots. So the talent is there. I just got to continue to mold the football part of it, the football IQ part of it, which is the fun part.
Is there some growth? I know he's been kind of limited here, maybe, but has there been growth since over this offseason or since last year?
Yeah. I mean, he's a lot more well versed in the offense. He's a lot more confident. He knows what he's doing, and he's just ready to take the next step. And I'm ready to help him get there. And so that's all we've been talking about. I'm excited to get him going once we get down to Latrobe and continue to get better, man. But he's got a bright future, and I think he's made some strides this offseason.